You know that feeling when you're in a bookstore and you just see a book on a shelf and you think, I want to buy that book. It happens to me all the time, right? And the thing that I find most interesting about it is I have a hard time explaining sometimes what draws me to a particular book. And so in this video, we want to talk about what draws us to individual books and maybe why we're interested in those books.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the cover, maybe it's the author, maybe it's the genre.
The hype.
The hype, yeah, but I'm curious, what makes you want to pick up a book?
I will say, if someone recommends a book to me, it goes automatically on my list.
If someone recommends a book to you that they weren't actually recommending to you, they're recommending to somebody else and you happen to overhear that book recommendation, it goes on your list.
It does. That means something. If someone likes that book enough to talk about that book, I'm in.
You know, that's a good point. Like it is an interesting thing when you have that kind of social proof. It really does help.
Or like every week in our team meeting, and we do a spotlight of someone, and they ask what their favorite book is. If it's someone's favorite book, of course that's going on my list.
Oh,
like
okay.
If it's their favorite book, that's worth reading.
What about like book talk, right? Like because there's one thing to have like just friends telling you like, oh, this book is really good, you should read it. It's another thing now when you have people like us that are constantly talking about books.
Yeah.
Right? And if everybody picked up every book that we ever read, like it wouldn't make any sense.
No, it would not.
Right? So how do you handle that?
Book talk has burned me a few too many times. And I'll see stuff on there, especially like in categories where it's like, if you like this, you'll love this, and this. And like 4 of them suck. I'm like, no, I'm not touching any of those.
That definitely wouldn't apply to any of our videos that we do this, where you say if you like this, you're going to like this. Because you will like those, I promise.
Yeah, you're going to love them.
Right, but so there's the thing. So social proof, but the social media social proof doesn't seem to work for you.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, what else? How else do you pick
I will say, though, with social media, is like on Goodreads, if it has like really high ratings, I'm more likely to hang on to it. If it's like low ratings and it's hanging out in a group that I'm not impressed with, then it's probably not going to be on my list.
So if you've heard of it before, that's an instant plus. But what else do you look for? You just walk in through the shelves at Barnes and Noble, and how
what table is it on? Is it what's
around
surrounding
it? Okay.
I mean, obviously you'll go into like fantasy and everything's fantasy, so that doesn't always work.
Sure.
But if there's like tables where the bookstore people, what are they called? Bookkeepers? What are they called?
Bookkeeper sounds good to me.
The employees.
The employees there.
Like those man-made tables. I don't know.
With their collection of, hey, here's things we think people might like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, that one.
Yep. So that gets you.
The covers do get me, but not. I don't know.
So I've discovered a few things. As you were talking, I noticed I fall for some of the same things.
Okay.
Right. So for instance, a few months ago we went into a Barnes and Noble, and there was a kind of a tall bookshelf, right, with 4 sides, and it was buy 2 books or buy 2 books at a third free from this bookshelf. And I noticed on one side was The Wheel of Time, on the other side was Robin Hobb stuff. Another side was like Game of Thrones and Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive. And then on the other side were a bunch of books I hadn't read. And so I instantly grabbed like the first of those series because I was like, if this is on this same thing, these have to be good.
Yeah, if you're keeping company with these big guys, you're coming home with me.
So that was kind of it. So I noticed that I fall for that because that's that curated thing that they did, right? That they're going for. And so that definitely gets me. I will say there's a few that get me though cover-wise. And there's a few that I've just been like, I've always loved that cover. I'm just going to have to read it. In fact, I have one behind me here. This guy. This one always got me, right? I had never read anything by this author before I bought this book. I just saw this cover and said, I want to read that. And turns out it was a really good book. And I have the second one sitting right behind here to be read here in a second. And I've read an entire other series by him. And so the covers did catch my eye, but they've got to be pretty good. That said, there are entire series that I put off as, I don't want to read these because of the covers.
Interesting.
Dresden Files actually was one of those
really?
Where I saw the covers and thought, I don't want to read a cowboy thing.
Yeah. I still don't want to read that.
Right. But now I love Dresden Files, and so it is a really interesting thing how that can move me in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
So that definitely gets me. What else gets you?
Price point isn't an issue for me at this point in time. I will say though, I do hate it when the second book comes out and it's hardcover, but I have paperback. That will get me to not buy one.
I've done that. I have waited to buy.
Yeah.
So
I am waiting right now.
Jade Legacy, right? I waited to get the paperback version because I had the paperback version of Jade City and Jade War, and so I waited a few months to get it purely. Even though that series is incredible, I waited purely because I wanted the paperback. I wanted the matching book.
Well, Graceling, the 5th one came out.
Yep.
And I have enough on my plate that I'm like, I'm okay not to get to Sea Sparrow right away. So I'm just going to wait till paperback comes out. Like, I can wait a year if I need to because I've got a lot.
Do you prefer hardback or paperback?
I don't think I have a strong opinion there.
You know, interestingly, I think I prefer paperback.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's easier to hold?
Yes. And there's just something about that feel to me that feels less textbooky. And I just enjoy a paperback.
I do love using the hardback sleeves as my bookmark.
See, and I tend to be one that wants to get rid of the cover.
Funny.
As I do stuff. So it depends. It really depends on the book. But I think I do enjoy paperbacks. There's also tend to be a little more condensed. So easier to carry around, easier to do things.
That's true. It depends. Like if I'm going to the beach, there's no way I'm taking a hardback. It's not a good decision.
Yeah.
Take something small and compact.
All right. What else drives you to a new book? So you have social proof. You've got the curation inside of a bookstore.
Yeah.
You've got maybe the cover. Is there anything else that will get you?
Is popularity that's social proof?
Yeah, I think so.
Same with just like a general, I've been meaning to get around to this for a while.
Yep. What about titles? Do titles get you?
I love a good title. Love a good title.
Give me an example of a book you bought because of the title.
The Kiss Quotient.
The Kiss Quotient. Okay.
I don't know. That's first off my head.
Yeah. No.
There's some titles that suck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Agreed.
Or even titles. I don't like titles that are deceiving titles where they're trying too hard and then that has nothing to do with the actual book. Sorry, that's not what you're asking. That's not the question.
No, but I get it.
I don't know. Do you have a title that you've bought?
I'm just trying to think if there was a title that gets me, where I'm like, yep, I want to read that book. Because
even though you think of like people we meet on vacation, like it's descriptive enough that you're like, okay, where's this gonna go? It could go in so many different directions.
See that. You know, thinking fantasy wise, the First Law series has really interesting titles. In fact, all of Joe Abercrombie's books, but I think the Blade itself is the first book in that series, and that kind of got me with that one. Yeah. I enjoyed that one, and I enjoyed that title. Right, that was one that got me.
Daughter of a Pirate King is one we bought for the title.
You know, probably.
We were in Hawaii when we bought that, and I don't think that was on our radar.
No.
I think it was just like, this sounds cool.
Yep. So, yeah, I think that was probably a title purchase.
Yeah.
Because I don't look at the cover right now and think it would be something that the cover compels me.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, it probably was a title.
That's fun. It almost makes me wish I didn't know as much about books as I do or have such a huge TBR list so that I could go into a bookstore a little more blind.
A little more blind.
Yeah.
What about authors? Do authors get you?
Yeah. Yep. Especially lately, where like I'm reading my first Barbara Kingsolver book right now. I need all of her books. Like I will read all of her books. Or Amy Harmon is a new favorite of mine. I was really impressed by her first book I read. But I need more to see if they're all that good.
Yep. Obviously in fantasy there's a few big names that all read everything they write, right? So Brandon Sanderson, Robin Hobb, if she decided to write more, yes, thank you. George R. R. Martin, I'll read his. Trying to think of others that
J.K. Rowling?
Yeah, sure.
Have you read her other stuff?
I have not read her stuff that she's written under another pen name.
Yeah.
I have not. Okay. My understanding is they're political thrillers.
Yeah.
Which, you know, may be worthwhile to get into, but I would totally, like, if she decided to write something else in fantasy, I would totally probably give it a read.
Yeah.
Totally probably give it a read.
Mine were, like, Brandon Sanderson, yes, give it to me, thank you.
Yep.
Sarah J. Maas, give it to me, thank you.
Yep.
Like, definitely an author thing. But then there's some authors, like Holly Black, for instance. I feel like with The Cruel Prince, that's her most popular series.
Yep.
She's really hyped, But I didn't like The Cruel Prince, so I'm kind of like, I'm good without the rest of her books.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I've got such a bias and like, nope, don't need more from her, thanks.
Yep.
I don't know.
That is there other authors that are like that where you're like, I read the author and I just wasn't thrilled with it and move along?
Who's the one who did Unravel Me? I can't think of her name right now.
I don't know. But that one?
Yeah. Or, I shouldn't say that because I really like it. It's the Thieves. Vow of Thieves is the second one. What's the first one? I don't remember, but... Sorry, I'm trying... Dance of Thieves? It's Dance of Thieves.
I don't know.
Really good story, but her writing drives me a little crazy. Like, it's so immature and a lot of typos and errors and, like, weirdly formed sentences where I feel like I have to read it, like, 3 times to understand what she's talking about, and her world's a little confusing. But I like her story, so she's kind of... I need to figure her out.
Okay. Interesting.
Pearson, Mary E. Pearson.
All right. We'll close with this one. If you're walking through a store,
Okay,
and there was one author, just a single author, who was going to be on display in the curated section, right, where the book was like $200.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
What author would make you pull the trigger on the new book?
Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, Brandon Sanderson. Okay. That's a good one. It's hard for me to beat that one. I was thinking about it. I've almost spent the $50 on the new Numenor book by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it's not actually by J.R.R. Tolkien. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's his writings and be edited. But I think it falls there. Anything that's in that world, I would pay a fair amount of money for. But yeah, it's interesting the things that draw us to books. Now, I'm curious what draws you to a book. Like and subscribe, and please leave a comment so we know what gets you to pick up a new book. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun question. It's fun to think about. And like, I really wish I could just go blind. I think I have way too many biases.
That's a really funny thing. I wish I could just be blind.
I wish I could go blind into a bookstore.
Yes. It is interesting. After doing this a long time, reading a lot of different books, it's hard to find books that you haven't necessarily heard of.
Yeah.
Or seen. And you're right. There's
always going to be a bias behind it.
Yep. And I found that I have biases sometimes behind just the style of the art on certain books.
Yeah.
A lot of times I see it, and if it's a little more anime style, I will lean away from it. Or there's like the older looking books that kind of have the little time cover art, and sometimes I'll lean away from those.
Yeah.
But sometimes those are excellent. And so I guess it is interesting to see how this affects things.
I have noticed, one more kind of tangent. It really depends on who is recommending the book to me.
Okay.
Where I'm going to like, oh, she told me I need to read this. It's going to be so good. Like, I automatically put it really high where I need to lower all of those because sometimes those surprise me. I don't know. That's random and tangent.
Yeah. Well, hey, I never know. When you're going through a bookstore, maybe pick out something you wouldn't normally read, and maybe it'll be a new favorite.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's way fun.
Well, I'm Blake.
I'm Jamie.
We're Blamey.
I guess so.
We'll see you later.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.